episode 8 of the Knowledgeable Podcast. Today, and again, a disclaimer like always, anything that I say or do in this podcast should be used for financial advice or anything other than to be used for nothing like financial advice or to go out and do. It's just for entertainment purposes only. So now moving on. Today, the stock market seems like it's been moving up again, moving down, up, down, all over the place, like usual. But I think we have to understand what the economy is looking at. So if we look at the economy as a whole, the economy today is, it's interesting by any means, but I think we have to look at the bankrupting, well, not really bankrupting, but this is, there's always going to be companies that go bankrupt, of course, but if you want to see like major companies as a sediment and as a whole, we have to see the ideas that we want to see and understand. So the biggest thing that we should see is that our entire situation that we are in is very determined on the equities of today. So what we see in the market today is a lot different than tomorrow. Basically my point. But if you have the right strategy and the right knowingness and willingness to expand your knowledge base and learning base, you can grow as a trader and as etc. So I think the biggest thing that we have to see and understand is that we as a society needs to move in a direction that helps all of us move in that certain direction. We need to see different organizations continue to grow and move forward. For instance, people in the world today are not so emboldened because in today's situation, we do not see the lighting stars and the lighting shooting stars as ever before. Because I think people don't care, which is fine. If you don't care to budget your money, if you don't care to like or do things that save money, and that's why you're going to be poor. Some people are happy to do that. And some people will argue that, well, not argue, but some people will say that that there are people they know that are happy, and they only make $34,000, and they're happy that they only make $34,000 and are willing to, still go on vacation and are willing to do that all, and they're happy. Those people are more successful than someone that is rich and isn't happy with what they're doing. Because to me, success is not someone that isn't happy at what they're doing. Or success is not someone that is just making all this money. Or are you happy doing that? Because if you aren't happy doing that, how is that successful? Now, if you can retire from it, and you're like, well, I don't really like doing it, so that's why I'm retiring. Well, that's different. You're already successful. Your happiness towards it has just waned and you at that point you are growing in a direction because you're just getting older and you're just getting tired of the industry. Yeah, that's different, you know. But someone that's been in the industry for many years, and you could argue they have been, but they just want to retire and be out of there, and they can't. But some people that don't and can't, like I heard a story of a lawyer that was making more, like probably like $250,000, something crazy. You know, have kids, has the house and everything, but he was miserable. He didn't like doing. He didn't like working. He didn't like being a lawyer for rich people. He just didn't like doing it. Well, even though he had a family and everything else, he wasn't happy doing that. So he ended up killing himself. Now, what should he have done in that situation? Listen, I get it. You're trying to provide for the family. And a lot of people sacrifice. But if you're willing to kill yourself because of a job, that, you know, that's tough. That's why I say people that make a whole lot of money, it doesn't matter how much money you make, that doesn't show that you're successful. You know, to me, what shows if you're successful is if you're happy doing what you're doing. And a lot of people don't like when I say that, because like how you're making money is my point. Okay, so if you're rich and you're happy doing what you're doing, mostly happy with what you're doing, because you're still going to have negatives and everything in some aspects, of course. You're not going to like everything you do. But if you're mostly like over 60% or over 50%, over 51%, probably like 70% of what you're doing, and I would say you're happy. You're a happy person of what you like to do. There's just some times where you just don't like it. Well, you know, there's going to be times where you don't like things. You know, I mean, that's just what it is. But I think that person is successful because they like what they're doing, and there's just things that they don't like. So, you know, but they're also successful financially. You know, financially, freedom can come in different avenues. You need equity. Equity is very important in a company. If you don't have equity, you're not going to get income. Let me tell you, unless you're working for them. But to me, then you're a slave to them. I mean, that's what I look at it as. Yeah, you're getting paid, but you know, you're working a job that pays you less than what you provide, or you wouldn't be working there. And when I mean what you provide, you provide a stream of income for the people that own the company. Okay, that's why when you say, "Oh, I'm sick," they don't give a shit. They don't care about you. Why should they? I'm just asking, why should they? Or when you pass away, I'll just bring that guy. They don't have like a ceremony, unless you're like some big top guy executive that really changed the company to make more and more profit, and they're going to lose that. Then, you know, maybe a different story. But you know, most low-lying jobs, you can find Joe Schmo on the street. Now you can actually have robots do it. Sad to say, but that's just the truth of the matter. Do I like it? No. But we as a society have let that happen. Okay? We all have let that happen. Why did we let that happen? Because we have allowed ourselves to build and grow our systems in a certain way that you don't care, and you are a buyer consumeristic society. Consumeristic societies do not last. The reason why they don't last is because this is not normal. The only people you're making rich are the people that own assets. That's it. You're not making yourself rich at all. And when they give out stimulus, and this is why COVID was so dumb, when they gave out stimulus is because the stimulus checks that were handed out, let me tell you, all that money went right back to the companies, people that already had money. Didn't matter if you bought shares in the company on the stock market. You pushed the stock price up some type of amount. It might not have been a whole lot, but over time, the amount of shares you bought, well, the next person buys more. In a group of setting of 1,000 people, well, yeah, you pushed it up. But at the end of the day, our markets, with the COVID stuff, that is very, very, very interesting and very, very, very intensely moving in a way that the only people it helped were the rich, and that's it. Didn't help you. It just transferred the wealth to a specific group. So, yeah, some people made a lot of money. A lot of it was luck, but yeah, some of it wasn't. But at the end of the day, the only people that made the money were not you, because you were the clown that didn't put the money in. If you had investments already, it'd be a different story, but you didn't. You didn't. So when they gave you all that money and all you did was put it back in this, even if you put it in investments, the good thing is maybe you're going to make yourself richer, yes. You have a better chance of doing that. But jokes around the corner is not. So, you don't know. Well, most people invest in the stock market. I should say most people. What I should say is that there's a lot of people that invest in the stock market, and people like, what's his face? Robert Kiyosaki would sit there and say investing in the stock market is a stupid thing, just like owning a house or buying a house and all this extra stuff. What he means in those terms is not that you shouldn't invest in the stock market, okay? His position is that, and maybe it literally is not investing in the stock market, but his point is that you shouldn't just put your money in a company or in the S&P 500 if you cannot manage it yourself, okay? And what he means by that is you don't have any control over the stock, so that's why he doesn't like it, okay? Which he's right about. You don't, because another business holds it. But what I disagree with him on is that telling people not to invest in the stock market and telling them to invest in real estate, people could argue, that I don't totally agree, per se. Now, if he could say, well, investing in real estate is probably better than investing in the stock market, it depends what you're talking about. I would agree with him if he was saying, because your job is to compound your investments. Right now is not a good time to invest in real estate because the real estate prices, now in certain areas it is, but right now at the tippy top of the market and it's about to collapse, it's not a good time to buy real estate right now. Wait until the market coincides, swindles, and it's slowly starting to happen. I believe that our society is moving into a direction of a place where soft men are now going, soft times and soft men are now going to create hard times. And soft times basically means easy times. And now we're going to have men being men. you have to understand this. We are in a time, and I would say myself too, because I've seen it personally, in myself personally, that in this country we have a lot of, we have a way better life than most countries in the world, without a doubt. So I think this country is going to have a rude awakening soon if we don't get our act together. And what I mean by that is that if you don't own any assets, forget about it. I'm not saying that we're going to become Germany back in the 1920s, 1918, in those times, but with the way that this country is going towards, and I'm not saying it's going to happen in the next 10 years, but it may not, or it could. It may happen in the next, 50, whatever. But I'm not saying that you should be reliant on this to happen. But at the end of the day, the stock market, okay, is a decent investment if you're looking at a long-term trajectory. If you are trading it, unless you're willing to learn for many years, because it's probably going to take you at least 6 months just to figure, now it took me longer than that, but at least to figure out your way around and understand maybe some charts if you're doing it often. Most people don't have that grind. I didn't, as you can tell. That's why it's taken me longer than it probably should have. I can read charts better than I did 2 years ago. Yeah, I can. I definitely can see my progress because I see things, and maybe it's because of the way that I structure the charts and the indicators that I have that helps me make it easier for me. But, sometimes you need easy things to grow. So, sometimes you need shortcuts to get into directions. But I'm learning at the same time as I am doing these things. So, in the meantime, as we grow our businesses and, we grow as a society, we have to understand what we're doing to our own selves, so I know this was a lot of ridiculousness, if some people would argue, but I need us to get back to reality and understand that a lot of stuff that we own, we don't need. Some people could argue we don't even need a phone. I think that could be true, and it also can be wrong. So, and some people could also argue that we don't need any of this crap anyway. I don't totally think we do. Things are honestly bad things. Things that you have in your house are not always good to own. If you don't have income coming in, paying you for your lifestyle, why in the world do you expect these type of people to expect you to grow as a society? You have to live below your means. Now, maybe it's not crazy below your means, but just enough to make a difference. Okay? You have to change your mindset in spending. I don't spend on shit that doesn't give me an investment. So I look at things. So if they don't give me no investment, and you can sell almost anything on eBay. You probably sell a water bottle on eBay. I mean, you probably could. I mean, you probably wouldn't make a whole lot of money, but you could sell a water bottle on eBay. So you have to understand. Sorry about that. We have to understand that in life, if we're not frugal, you ain't gonna win. Now, I know there's people that out there are gonna say, "Well, I have kids." I get that. Simple. And I've had family members that did this. Well, really one actually. Didn't really give their kids Christmas. They said, "Oh, sorry, here's a ball." Now, granted, the child was very, very young when this happened. I mean, very, very young. Like I think he might have only been like 2, so it was fine. But Christmas is a way for you to lose money. If you're willing, what you should do during Christmas, if you're wanting to give money or do anything, you probably should just put the amount of money that you are giving to your kids. And I understand. I said, you know, if you want to be successful, you have to be happy in what you're doing. I get that. But distracting your kids with stuff that doesn't make any sense, that doesn't help them, why would you do it? You know, I think what you should be doing for kids, and you know, you should say, oh, you're not going to play video games, you're going to do this. Reading is good. But reading is not always fun, you know. I don't like to read, but that's because of the way I was brought up. Blame myself for that mostly. Of course I do. But I think you can read things that you like. And I like to read things that I like to read, certain things that are that teach me things. Teach me things in a way about finances, basically. And I mean, I know I'm not going to change everyone's mind, but I'm doing what I'm doing, and you're going to do what you're going to do, right? Because that's what I always hear. I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and you're going to do what you're going to do. I think that's what some people want to tell me, you know, which is fine. But you have to take risk in life. Because if you don't, you ain't going to get anywhere. But you have to also manage risk. And you also have to make sure when you manage risk that you take, it doesn't backfire with the amount of risk that you're taking. But if you can manage risk, you're pretty good. You know, I think teaching kids how to trade at a young age is pretty fun, pretty cool. I don't do it, but you know, whenever I have kids, I'll do that because, frankly, I think it's one of the most important things. You have to learn a skill, and yes, it's a job. Trading is a job, and if someone tells you that it isn't, let me tell you something. If someone tells you that it isn't a job, they have a problem. It may not feel like a job. Let me tell you, there are people out there that love what they do, trading, that's all they like. They love trading. And it may not feel like a job, but it is a job. So, and those people will even tell you it is a job. So, it's not a, you know, it's a 9-to-5 job, but you don't have to work that hard. Because if you do it by yourself, and you've done it for the last 7 years, and sometimes you can even do it in the next 3 if you really know some people. Maybe you don't know people, meet people, whatever. You know, you can do it yourself. You can trade, and you can be better for yourself. And my point is that you can learn, and that could be a skill that you can use to grow other stuff, because you can teach other people how to trade, and that's how you bring in even more income. And the profits that you make from trading, you can invest that into dividends and other stuff. if you really want to. And then there you go, the dividend investment growth strategy. I think dividend investing is very good. The growth strategy is also good. The only thing I would harp on and say is that, but I think it's for different people. For me, I think I would want to reinvest those dividends because there's a lot of risk to it because, the stock does not go up. But I also think that after a while you will be paid. So, I think it really depends on you. What do you want to do? If you're making a decent amount in dividends and you're willing to pay off your expenses, I mean, this goes for rental income, so it's one of the best ways to be able to do what you want to do. But in the beginning, you're not going to do things that you don't want to do because it's not going to be fun. And soon enough, I'm going to have to do things that I don't want to do. Okay? Just to be able to grow stuff. It's not a fun world out there, let me tell you. If it was fun, everyone would be doing it. So this is basically what I'm going on today. I know I went on a little tangent, but and maybe I didn't totally make any sense, but hopefully you kind of get it. So this is episode 8 of the Knowledgeable Podcast, and subscribe, like, and comment down below because I do think I fixed the comment section. And please continue to watch other videos that I post. The shorts, they're a little different. They're not all about finance. Some of them are motivation, some of them are just stuff that I see that I like to repost. And I would like to thank all the creators that made those videos because they're not mine, they're just other people's videos. So I would like to thank those creators for making those videos. So thank you, and subscribe, like, comment, turn on post notifications. See you later.